Welcome back to the Stephen Knight Show. I want to remind you all over social media, check us out. Go subscribe to our YouTube channel and get our merchandise. You'll like it. Good material, I have to say. All right, so this is kind of a controversial subject. So Hasbro has announced that they will be making a huge change to the Mr. Potato Head brand by dropping the Mr. from his name. The toy will now be known as Potato Head, a general neutral spin on the spud. According to CNN, Hasbro announced the change to one of its most famous toys in order to promote inclusion within the brand and allowing consumers to determine the toy's gender themselves. The CEO said, culture has evolved. Or she's an employee, I'm sorry. Culture has evolved. Kids want to be able to represent their own experiences. The way the brand currently exists with Mr. and Mrs. is limiting when it comes to both gender and identity failure structure. They said what they could have done was come out with a bunch of different, types, but they said it wasn't cost effective, and then put them on the shelves. It would have been difficult to do that. But they said they didn't make this decision to be controversial. They're just trying to be inclusive. Do you think this is too much, or do you think this is a good idea, Lynia?
You are not going to ruin my childhood. It was Mr. Potato Head back then, and it's gonna be Mr. Potato Head for me now. I don't care, and I did it anyway I wanted to at that time. So I don't give a rat's behind whether it's a dog, cat, boy, girl. It's Mr. Potato Head. What you gonna do with a potato?
Right. Now, I know people are trying to be more inclusive and whatnot. Do you think people are too sensitive, or do you think this was the right move? What are your thoughts?
I think that's a fantastic idea. I think it was a good business idea and a good social practice. I think it was fantastic. And yeah, I can see why they would go that route cost effectively speaking. And I just think it works. I think it's a great idea. You can still identify it as Mr. Potato Head or Miss Potato Head or whatever you choose. And it will be that for my generation, me, Lynia, you, and Chike. But I think it's a great idea moving forward. I really do.
What do you think, Chike?
I mean, I get it. I mean, I understand why they're doing it. I have to put my personal feelings aside because it is always going to be Mr. Potato Head for me. But where does this end, though? Like, what about Mr. Peanut? Like, is he going to be Peanut?
He did.
Is it going,
like,
what's going to happen? Yeah, Mr. Clean. Like, what's going to happen? I mean, where is the line drawn? Because definitively, when you're born one or the other. You're not born a thing. You're not born a thing. You're born.
Remember, Chike, you're born female. Remember, Chike, that's a privilege for some of us to be born up here, one or the other. For many others, it's not such a privilege.
Well, you have to figure out in time. You have to figure out what's up here. When you're born, you don't have that privilege. You don't have. You can't call it. You have to be called by what your physical is. You may feel something on the inside, but you can't figure that out until later on in life. So it's either or. In nature, it's either or until you figure it out. So I don't know. It's a slippery slope.
Hey, they gonna come after Chike on this episode.
Y'all,
I'm one of the most inclusive people that you could ever meet. However, it's this or that until you figure it out.
Hey, this the one that's gonna take the Stephen Knight Show viral right here.
Thanks, Chike.
I'm sorry. If I offend anyone, I do not mean to. Yeah. However, it is what it is.
I want some potato skins. Thanks.
I think people are catching on to hearing misrepresented groups, their issues, and I think people are trying to do the right thing. But I do wonder when it's going to, how far does it go? How far does it go? We'll see what happens. Times are changing. Well, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, he's been in the news a lot lately. He was praised during the pandemic, when it first started last year, and how he got New York from being the epicenter to stabilizing everything. But now he's coming under a lot of fire. initially it came out that he allegedly has lied about the number of deaths in the nursing homes. He didn't list the numbers, but now he's having sexual assault allegations against him by 2 former aides. Now, the second former aide has come forward recently. In addition to fully denying the allegations, Andrew Cuomo also offered an apology, which acknowledging some of the things he said in the past were taken as unwanted flirtation. Now, CNN reports just hours after New York Governor Andrew Cuomo asked a New York Attorney General and the Chief Judge of New York Court of Appeals to jointly select an independent attorney to conduct a thorough review of the sexual harassment claims against him. He followed up with an official statement regarding allegations. He said, in part, I acknowledge some of the things I said have been misinterpreted as unwanted flirtation. To the extent anyone felt that way, I'm truly sorry about that. Most recent allegations against Cuomo come under Charlotte Bennett, who's 25, a former aide who said during multiple uncomfortable encounters with them, Cuomo allegedly asked her questions about her sex life during the conversations in his office at the state capitol, while also saying that he was open to relationships with women in their 20s. One of the alleged women, she said that he asked her that would she have sex with older men. He kissed one unexpectedly, which caught her off guard. And then he apparently asked one to play strip poker on a flight back to where they were coming from. Apparently he has a reputation of being a bully in general, and they feel like that he's not really apologizing. And the accusers are saying that he's not taking ownership for what he did. What are your thoughts, Lynia?
I'm always suspect when allegations surface years later. I'm always suspect about that. And is there anything coming up? Like, is there re-elections coming up? Like, what's the genesis that, because anytime something happens or something is about to happen, something happens. It's always a connection to something else. And I'm always suspect of that. And why did it take so long? Why now? What are you looking to get out of it? And I mean, I have a habit of saying honey, baby, whatever. God forbid, please don't hit me with sexual harassment charges because I don't want you. But I just have a habit of saying that. And sometimes, so sometimes people can misinterpret things, but in the world that we live in now, everything is so under a microscope. And I do feel like sometimes people are taking advantage because of the time that we are in. I don't know if that's the situation with this, but I just say that it's suspect.
Chike?
I think that Governor Cuomo is paying the price for being the type of politician he was during the pandemic and taking charge and being forthright with his opinion about the government as it stood at that particular time. And now that he had been considered for a position in office, that he's under the flashlight now, and that's how it goes. And that's just how it is in society now. And if you dare to step out and be a maverick on any given subject, and you tend to gain some headway about it, and you receive some small favor, then you become a target, especially if there's an opposition force that does not want you there. Have those things may have happened, but if you have those things in your past and you step out as a maverick, those things now become a liability to you and your trajectory in your career.
Nayyir?
Yeah, we've seen this movie before. Believable, yeah, but I know nothing, so we'll just have to see how it ends. We've seen this before. We've seen this one. I actually like him and his brother, but I'm not supporting anything that happened that was ill intentionally. unless this is a misunderstanding, which I'm not even looking at it that way. I'm just looking at it as someone's making claims and they got to investigate and see what happens.
Yeah, I think we gotta believe the victims or the alleged, people alleged, but it needs to be investigated before he is proven, publicly proven.
It's never that. It's
It's
always
never that.
it's always guilty before innocent. So let me say this now. If you ever thought that I've sexually harassed you, I apologize from the bottom of my heart.
Apology don't work. It's the public. The public is
Yeah.
It's gonna be them.
Mm-hmm.
So Stephen Knight, Lynia Love grabbed me the other night and kissed me on my forehead. I am now suing for sexual harassment for the Stephen Knight show.
Oh man.
I will be calling my lawyers.
So can I put some context into that? I love my best friend. I love my brother. And I was just showing him some affection in the best bear way that I know how. And bears love to be affectionate. We love to grab you and put our paws on you. So that's what I was giving him, some bearly affection.
In the words of Shaggy, it wasn't me. All right, well, our last story, kindness and understanding go a long way, especially when you're dealing with children. In the country where Black students are disproportionately disciplined and criminalized for their Black features, an Indiana principal saw an opportunity to help a student instead of penalizing them. So there's this middle schooler named Anthony Moore who goes to Jason Smith. No, he was sent to the principal's office, Jason Smith, the principal's office at Stony Brook Intermediate and Middle School, Indiana, for wearing a hat. And so when the principal was talking to him, which is against their code of conduct, he was talking to him about, why are you wearing this hat? And the student pretty much said that he didn't like his haircut. It didn't turn out right. And so the principal, who's been cutting hair since college, asked him, how about I cut your hair? I fix your hairline for you. And so he got permission from the parents. The student got apprehensive and he said, yeah. And the man drove home, came back to school, lined them up. And he said that he understood that it's one thing about adult acceptance, but, at that age, how important our hair is to us and having a fresh hairline and everything, he understood that. And so he hooked them up, sent them back to class, and his mother was just elated, said that the fact that he didn't discipline him, but he helped him, it just showed a human side and a principal who really is about the kids. When you read this story, Lynia, what were your thoughts?
I thought it was sweet. Sometimes all you really have to do is listen to our children, and not just instantly demonize them. And I mean, I know that when my son was younger, he he decided to cut his eyebrows, and then he had patches, and I'm like, why?
Right.
He had to go to school like that, so he had to go to school with a hat on, and it was like he just refused. But it wasn't, and he wasn't a bad kid, and it was like, but he's not. And then after talking to him, it was like, oh, and then when they saw, oh, okay, like just talk to him. Don't instantly, just talk to him, and you'll get such a better response. I think that was awesome.
Yeah, it was. Chike?
Yeah, I thought it was dope. And especially with children, the smallest things go a lot further. And some of us tend to, as we get into our adulthood and our adulting, we forget what it is to be a child. And, that particular situation could have been 10 times worse for the kid, the whole bullying thing and teasing. And you don't know where he is in his life that he could take that. So him hiding his hair was a way for him to protect himself. And I'm glad that the principal was aware enough and educated enough to be able to help him out.
Most definitely. Nayyir, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, just hearing Chike kind of leapfrogging over that, it makes me think about my hair when I was growing up. And that makes me also, it makes you take a look into that child situation. He'd rather get in trouble than take his hat off. So that means you look at the students he's around, you got to look at mom and dad or whoever's raising him, because there's something going on there that may not be addressed well or addressed properly. So I think Chike hit it on the head that the principal was aware enough. And the reason why that principal was aware enough, because that was a Black principal, I believe,
Right.
that was raised in the same, sort of community. So, kudos to the principal and to the young man for being willing to let that principal cut his hair. So,
Shout out to the good educators all over the country, for sure. Well, listen, when we come back, Charles Alpha Papa joins us to talk about his new single, On the Rocks. Lynia, Nayyir, thank you as always. Chike, I see your movie reviews, and we will be right back after this.